Goode Jack O'Connell's ambiguous gunman is predictably short on words in Godless photo. Netflix. Mark Butler. One day Wednesday, November 22, 2017. Thundering hoofs, beautiful shots of sun-soaked scenery and, of course, the lingering threat of violence. Netflix's six-part Western series Godless lands today, the 22nd of November, and it revels in the cinematic hallmarks of the genre. Despite being executive produced by Steven Soderbergh, the show is actually created, written and directed by Scott Frank, who also co-wrote this year's acclaimed superhero road trip Logan, a work which also owed a debt to classic westerns. Frank brings a similar sense of world weariness, backwater danger and intimate character moments to bear here, even if it is sometimes enthralled to its inspirations. Any reopening its 1884 in Colorado, and a group of riders come trotting through the dust-filled air. The remains of a burned-out town, and its decaying people, are strewn around them. Bodies litter the streets and hollowed-out homes. The wind howls and, as they take in the horror of the scene, a lone female survivor offers a spine-tingling lament. Riders on the storm. Jeff Daniels makes a formidable nemesis. Photo. Netflix. It's eerie and atmospheric, even before the horrifying payoff. At times, Godless's depiction of the worst the West had to offer is unflinching, but it contrasts its more sinister moments with some tranquil and amusing ones. Its core plot is familiar feeling too. Not just a girl power western. On a stormy night, Jack O'Connell's wounded mystery man turns up at a remote ranch, and collapses at gunpoint. Meanwhile, Jeff Daniels' similarly ailing gang leader Frank seeks treatment for his own injury elsewhere. The latter is hunting the former, and you know it isn't going to be pretty when their paths cross once more. Unfortunately for the residents of LaBelle, it's their town that O'Connell, as the blatantly named Roy Goode, has come to. A town populated almost entirely by women, following a local mining tragedy. These ladies are locked and loaded. Photo. Netflix. These are women who have grown accustomed to protecting themselves and their property, who follow through on their promises to shoot first and ask questions later. Given this premise, it would be easy to bill Godless as some kind of girl power western, but while that's an interesting hook, it's not a crutch the drama leans on. In fact, the opening gives much more time to the male characters. So make of that what you will. Menacing villain, rugged heroes. O'Connell plays the strong, silent and rugged role just fine. He's this saga's man with no name style player. A morally ambiguous gunslinger who steals from outlaws rather than common folk, and even earns the nickname Robin Goode in the process. Downton Abbey's Michelle Dockery makes an instant impression as town outsider Alice, whose non-nonsense demeanor hides a more considered depth. Goode Jack O'Connell's ambiguous gunman is predictably short on words. Photo. Netflix. Scoot McNairy is reliably enjoyable as a washed-up, bereaved sheriff who has lost his way in life. Daniels, meanwhile, is appropriately menacing as the main villain, especially when delivering threats a sermon from a church pulpit. And yet there is an underlying vulnerability there, such as the moment he eyes his equally ruthless men with apprehension, having been physically weakened. Twin Peaks fans will also be delighted to see Michael Horse pop up playing a Native American chief who dispenses some sage but down-to-earth advice to a groggy McNairy. It's no Deadwood, but Western fans will feel right at home. Cinematic quality, with the cliches to match the action, is initially sparing, though a flashback to an explosive train robbery provides some early thrills. T-Bone Burnett, who lent his talents to True Detective, also does more great work here as the supervisor. The show's use of hymns and old folk at key moments is extremely effective. That said, you wish there were more sequences like the haunting opening scene. What we do get is a compelling yet unsurprising premise. When Frank comes looking for his quarry, the women of LaBelle will have to stand firm. As, presumably, will McNairy's lawman, getting that good old-fashioned shot at redemption. Siege mentality. The townsfolk of Godless are set for a showdown. Photo. Netflix. Godless is no revisionist western. Its foundations are built on classic convention, and it doesn't have the foul-mouthed wit, gutter intrigue or outlandish characters of Deadwood, for instance. But what it does have is a high level of cinematic quality, even if it also has a whole host of cliches to match. To be fair, Godless also subverts a few. Roy's farmyard horse whisperer act doesn't go entirely smoothly, but there is little that's original here. What matters most, however, is the execution. And on first impressions, it's slick and accomplished enough to make for a satisfying 6-hour viewing experience. Western fans will feel right at home. Godless is available on Netflix now. More on how women are taking over the Western. Netflix. The best new TV and films in November. Netflix. The best new TV and films in December. News. http://cinews.co.uk